Marketing Live, man. RespectMyRegion.com. Today we are on another wonderful episode, man. We've got Lulu Tsui, co-founder, chief experience officer over at On The Revel, New York City, man. This is the second episode of the New York Cannabis Podcast. Lulu, good morning, and thank you for being on here today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you joining us here from the beautiful NYC. Is that where you're at?
I'm in New York. Yep.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, we're on the transcontinent right now. We go on West Coast, East Coast collaboration. Lulu, man, I'm really excited to be here. I was looking through your bio and your work history and what you guys do at On The Revel, and I'm really jacked up about this conversation. I cannot wait to really dive in and unpack some of your experience. And so for those of people that do not know who you are, will you give just a quick breakdown of who you are and what you do with On The Revel and what On The Revel is?
Sure. So my background has been in tech. I've been in tech, I'm going to date myself, since 1994. So grew up with tech. By day, you know, my clients are like Bloomberg and MasterCard and Thermo Fisher. So I'm actually user experience designer and researcher, which means I design anything with a screen behind it. So I design the interaction of how humans use it. And thanks. So, and using that kind of same design thinking methodology, my business partner, Jacoby, and I, you know, he also comes from this design thinking world. He works with a lot of CPG, like enterprise companies. So we kind of approach it a little bit different. You know, we always think about the experience of someone who comes to our events, whether they're a sponsor, an attendee, or an exhibitor. So what have we done? So we started in 2016 in New York, because I came up from the Washington market. Shout out Seattle.
Let's go. Let's go.
And Jacoby came up in the Colorado market, and then we met in New York. Yeah, so I started in 2015. I think Jacoby did at the same time. So we met in New York. We realized that we had a lot in common, because he was also launching a tech platform at the same time I was. And we also just really vibed on the fact that at that time, there just wasn't a lot of conferences that spoke to us. I mean, me being a woman, you know, and him also being, you know, a Black mathematician at that time in cannabis. It was like, he calls it the male, pale, and stale world of conferences. And the fact that we're in New York, where, you know, there's a lot more people that look like us, we really wanted to create something in New York that spoke to us and also paid homage to New York and everything that New York is about. So we started our first, like, you know, kind of meetup groups in 2016. And as our market grew, it turned into more of a speaker conference, almost like a TED Talk, which we call our signature talks. And then we threw a block party, because you can't like just focus on business without the culture and the vibe.
You gotta have a good time, man. You gotta set the vibe. Come on.
And we launched our trade show called Revelry 2 years ago when the market opened, and that has just, you know, grown exponentially. So here we are, 2024. General licenses have started to get issued, so it's happening. You know, we have
quick New York stats, right, Lulu? 160 plus locations, right? We're hundreds of millions of dollars into it at this point in terms of revenue being generated. More licenses being rolled out, indoor cultivations coming online, right?
Yeah.
And there's already 2. I saw this yesterday, or what's it this morning? It's hard to say now because I'm 2 dabs deep. I think I saw that 2 New York brands were in some of the were top tenors in the state, or I'm sorry, in the nation, in a couple.
Yeah.
I think I saw Heirloom and another one that I wasn't as familiar. But wow, New York has quickly established itself as a major market, major player, right? And a lot of eyes are on that. And I think you guys have done a great job providing a platform. The brand is On The Revel, but I can't help but think that you guys are bringing people onto your level, right? Your background, your experience, what you're trying to do by providing a platform, by creating the hub of, I would say, resources, networking, value, and my favorite thing is just opportunity, right? If you just put people in the right space with the right vibe and the right things, opportunity and magic just starts happening, and greatness can start happening.
I mean, I think that speaks to the New York spirit too, right? Like New Yorkers are type A hustlers. So, everybody's always thinking about entrepreneurship and, how to get the bag. So we're really fortunate that, Jacoby and I, like, people don't know this about us, but we're a 5-person team that is a volunteer basis. Wow. So I'm just really proud that we've been able to create something so impactful and large in fucking New York, that as volunteers, as a passion project. We're really fortunate that our team members, we also have side hustles that, help pay the bills. So when we're approaching this project, it's really with intention and mindfulness of understanding where our market is and what our market needs. Because Jacoby and I have experience for almost a decade now in cannabis and other markets. Like, we're just learning and trying to really provide value at the end of the day.
Well, this intentionality and mindfulness, right? There's that trend, right? Very mindful.
We're not the mirror.
I know. I was gonna say just very mindful. But it just got me thinking on that buzzword of mindful right now, because when I look through the experience that you have, and when I think about my experience in Washington and how I was taught by people from Colorado and the OGs, right? Got to pay respect to the people that came before y'all, everybody. This is important. I'm really interested in how your experience in these other states applied to what you've been doing in New York and helping these people there in that industry. And I'm also particularly interested in how your experience working on, and I quote, mission critical apps, cross-platform, right? Cross-platform mission critical applications.
Yep.
And let's just share the companies. This is what's crazy is that, like, what you guys are doing in cannabis, and I don't say this with any disrespect intended whatsoever, is so much small in the grand scheme of life and the world compared to this list. Okay. Yeah. We mentioned Bloomberg, we mentioned LP, we mentioned MasterCard. That's huge because that's major stuff. But let's get into things that hit a little bit closer to home, right? The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
They were a great client.
Johns Hopkins University. Remember that quote, everybody? I was smoking weed with Johnny Hopkins, right? Remember that quote in I forget which Will Ferrell movie that is. But that's the premier research group in the United States and in some cases the world. Roche, Thermo Fisher, Pearson, and McGraw-Hill. Last I checked, when I pull up my textbooks from college, high school, middle school, elementary school, and not only that, but in Indiana, Texas, and Seattle, where I grew up and lived, every book said McGraw-Hill. Everything said Pearson on it.
Yeah.
So the impact that you've had and the experience that you've gained from working in those are institutions. How has that helped translate over into cannabis with you bringing that mindfulness and intentionality into you guys being a platform and resource?
Well, as a user experience designer, part of it is just, I'm not an expert in those subject matters, right? But what I'm an expert in is learning about the needs of whatever client I'm serving. So it's not about like me thinking what's best from my individual point of view. It's really about understanding like how people work, what other things they're trying to do, and designing systems around that support them. Because, I always say I'm a lazy designer, like I would rather be doing the things that I love. So how can I create tools and experiences to make you do your job faster or get your shit done faster so you have time to do the other things? Right?
No, that's huge. So just creating more efficient, more effective systems for people to achieve what their true goal is, whether it's easier lift or just less energy or less time, right?
Yeah, just like, and I'm sure like my hate me for this, which is like, you can do it better, you can do it faster. Like, why are you wasting your time doing these things? So, same methodology is like, how do we create experiences in our events, let alone, cannabis SOPs, to make it just like easier. So you're more of like a well-oiled machine rather than like, hey, this is how I think it should be done. And, you know, and the collaboration that I think the plant does bring to people needs to translate over to the business side as well. Right.
Absolutely.
It's like, you know, on the consumer side or on the culture side, it's like as soon as you smoke, like you're sharing, you're collaborating, you're thinking, you're ideating. So the business side needs to also translate into that kind of like way of thinking and being able to really understand and build things more efficiently. Because this industry is crazy. You know, like the thing that I love about it, which I'm sure you do too, is like the opportunity is there's no structure because you can make your own path. You
Absolutely.
can do whatever you want. It's also my frustration and my team's frustration is like, oh my God, there's no structure. Like now
There's not a proven strategy or playbook
not
from
at all.
before. I had, and I want to shout out my guest from yesterday, Seth Yakatan, who said something very, very powerful on that conversation. The means to do business in the regular world are proven. There are fails. There's proof. There's examples to go off of as guidance, as just little you know little beacons of light for you to go down or for you to stay away from. Right? You know, red flag, bright light, whatever it is. Right? But in cannabis, we don't have very many of those red flags, and we don't have very
I
many green
disagree.
flags either, right?
I
Well,
disagree.
we have but think of it more like the leaders, the companies out there. They might be trailblazing, but there's not a quantity of those that
Sure.
have made a quantity of mistakes. There's definitely some glaring examples.
Yeah.
Him and I discussed High Times. We discussed MedMen. There's other groups that have massive debt that are running poor ships, or what I described as leaky ships. But the point of that comment though was there's not a lot of proof out there for what to do that's gonna work for playbooks that people can follow. And I
That's
think
true.
and the availability on resources make it tough. And one part that you kind of said, and I'll just switch, I'll paraphrase and give it my own freestyle version, is people just don't know what they're doing. And it's just every version of that. There is a lot of just unknown and these challenges that arise day to day. One of my favorite things that I've identified is factual about American systems, whether it's police or enforcement. Just anybody enforcing things, this word discretion is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one variable that really makes it challenging for cannabis to have any kind of like stability in terms of operations
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, the regulators will throw something out there and everything has to change, right? So like we are kind of at the whims of being a very reactive industry because every day something's different. It's a banking thing, it's a credit card thing, it's a packaging thing, it's, you know, you can't do all of a sudden you can't do in stores, you know, like so there's that's the one thing that's not consistent, and then every state has different regs that you have to follow. So but I also think like, you know, I was having this conversation with a friend, it's like, but where else would we go, you know, like I think being in cannabis really hones you in on being really quick at your feet and being able to solution problem solve like on the dime.
Yeah.
But you know, the idea of going back into corporate structure where everything is so in the box is also not that appealing anymore.
Or legacy black market or the trap market, right?
Yeah.
After when markets are attacking that market right now, when that they're going after it and there's actually fees and penalizing, there's not really a gray area anymore. It's either it's legal or it's not, right?
Well, I mean, I think I also want to clarify that, you know, at least in New York and probably other states, there's a big difference between legacy, the OG trappers, and, you know, the folks that just came in the past year or two, where they're just like, hey, there's an opportunity here. We're just going to do a smash and grab. And so I'll call those the gray market folks, the new ones. And they've actually shut down a lot of the legacy folks.
Those gray market green rushers for New York really killed it after it was that. I mean, I'm not going to put blame on any one individual, but you could arguably go back to that press conference with the mayor and that point because of traditional media and distribution reach and leadership using a poor choice of words and how they organize those words, it's made it an absolute mess for a period of time. And it definitely put excessive pressure on the true legacy operators being able to get a foothold in either market at that point.
Yeah, right? I mean, I totally agree. And like this is the frustration on the user experience side, which is like my world of UX is usually like, okay, let's launch something. Let's see what works. Let's like kill the thing that doesn't work and make it better. So, I mean, we've had a legal market, for 20 years now. So some of the things that have happened in other markets that hadn't worked, like it's frustrating for me to see the same things happen here over and over again.
It's, gosh, you would think that we would learn over time. But again, going back to just the systems in place and who's leading these things from the government side, it's there's a gap. And it's as we've said, sometimes that gap is this, and some days it's like doing this all in one motion, right? Now, we are halfway through the episode, so I wanted to take this brief moment, Lulu, to shout out our sponsor. Everybody watching, this episode is brought to you guys by Seedless Media. Seedless.media to visit their website. They are the cannabis industry's premier marketing agency specializing in PPC, Google AdWords, SEO, loyalty, cannabis text messaging, and a variety of other things. I have selected to work with this partner because they believe in providing resources to cannabis retailers across the country. And so thank you guys for joining and watching today. Now, Lulu, I want to speak about On The Revel, right? That's how I discovered you, right? The amazingness that is you individually and your partner is your guys' cumulative experiences, right? What you guys have done in your life, coming from China, going to Oregon, getting to Washington, and going all over the world and doing what you've done makes all of what you're doing with On The Revel that much more impactful. So your user experience, your traveling, your cannabis knowledge. Now let's focus on this event experience. This is what I like. I'm a party guy, man. I like to go out there, shake my butt, smoke some weed, you know what I mean? Meet strangers and stuff. It's a good time, right? How did this come around? Tell me a little bit about the concept, the story. Was it a joint session? Tell me a little bit about On The Revel and how that came about, because it's magical and people need to know about it.
Yeah, so Jacoby and I were introduced at a 420 event by a really beautiful human, Gia Marone. She was at Women Grow, and we just started chopping it up. And he came from experience with one of the first verticals in Colorado, and I came from the processing extraction side of the house with
Root Sciences, right?
Root Sciences. Shout out Fatty and Ed, hi boys. I've known them since I was 19. So we just started, talking about one tech, but also too, like, what the fuck was going on in New York? Because at that time, there was a lot of conversations about advocacy. There was a lot of conversation about investment, but no one was really talking about what was happening in the ground truth of the legal markets. So we're like, well, fuck it. Like, I have some good people. You have some good people. Let's invite them to New York and just start having them, drop some gems and truth about what's happening, because opportunity is huge, right? New York is all about opportunity. So we, it's funny that you mentioned On The Level. Like, that was kind of the base of our name, On The Revel. It's like, okay, we want to be on the level with everyone, right? Like, at that time also, coming back to you're talking about not a lot of information is given. People were gatekeeping a lot of things, right? There was like kind of like this is mine, I'm doing it, and I'm not sharing with anyone. And we just wanted to not have that be the undercurrent of what we're about. Like, we wanted to have like, hey, I have experience. I'll tell you my experience. We want to work together, cool. If we don't, that's cool, but let me share some things with you. So that's been kind of the premise of all of our speakers and everyone who we fuck with. It's like, hey, first, be fucking cool, to like, don't come from a scarcity mindset. This is about, at this point in the phase of our industry, it's not time to do the fighting and infighting and market share, like, grab. Like, we've seen, it has not really worked.
Yeah, let the race begin.
I mean, if there is an example where that's worked, show me. But it hasn't. So let's try 20 years, it really hasn't worked. Let's try something else. So we're about just like, first and foremost, I think the way to describe us is we're more of a hospitality company.
Okay.
You know, the things that we're trying to do is like come through, meet friends, hang out, because that's how we like to do business. Business being done over a joint, business being done over food, business being done when you're having a good time, right? Like, and then you can see the vibe. Like, I think all of us know now and have had an experience where you have a weird, funny feeling in your stomach. Your intuition is saying, fuck it, don't do it. But because of whatever reason, monetary situation, opportunity situation, we didn't get the vibe, but we went for it. And the result is we got fucked. So, like, vibes are really important for us because, like, I think the plant also really helps you figure out who you resonate with and what's going to be good, what's going to be turn out shitty. So, so that, you know, kind of meetup that we did, I mean, we had 20 friends come in our very first meetup from the existing markets, and that turned into a really lovely speaker series. You know, people were like, you should do a trade show, but for us it didn't make sense to do a trade show when there was no market. So like, why waste people's time, resources, money to put a party together where there's no ROI? Like, if there's no POs, you know, there's no leads and no POs, like, what's the point? So we built that speaker conference. We do it a little bit different. We never do a call for speakers. There's no price point to pay. How we do it is, you know, we listen to our market. We listen to the people that are interested. So I call this discovery. And then, you know, both Jacoby and I are interested in licensure also. So we're like, okay, what's information we need? So we'll create programming around those touch points.
Love it.
And then we'll be like, okay, who do we fuck with? Who's going to be a great speaker for this topic? And all of our speakers are 1 or 2 degrees away from us. So like, you know, if you want to fuck with us, like, we have to hang out, you know? So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when you think about the concept of community and New York being a tight-knit community, although it's large, you got upstate, you got all these different boroughs and cities and neighborhoods and egos and type, whatever it is. The point being is that if it's New York cannabis, it's New York cannabis, right? It's not New Jersey, it's not Mass, it's not Maine, it's not LA, whatever. It's that says New York with the little logo on it, right? So y'all are in that same familia, and for it to be treated as such is huge. And that's where I really like your guys' mindset. I mean, going back to the user experience and your experience specializing in that, in being very tactful and mindful, mission critical, if you would, right? Like, that's how it has built up into what it has become today with tens of booths, right? We're talking, I think you guys have the big revelry event. I think I'm seeing 30 to 50 tables. And people, it's never like, I mean, it might be popping and packed, right? And some people obviously think that that's, oh my God, shoulder to shoulder, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you know, it goes back to the value of this. New York and the era, the phase of that, the lifespan of this current market, it's growing by the day. There's more people learning and realizing it and opening stores, and their friends are and their moms and their grandparents are getting introduced. They're walking past it for that 50th time, and they're finally going inside, right?
Yeah, we had like for our last event in May in Hudson, we had about 124 brands.
Wow.
And then we brought in.
I'm not even close at that point. 124. Wow.
124, and then
I guess that's what I'm seeing 30 or 40 in the video clips here when I watch Instagram.
we didn't do the outs. We didn't. I think we filmed a little bit of the outside, and then we just shy about 200 retail licensees or application winners and licensees that came in.
That's amazing.
So we're trying to grow. We usually try to grow conscientiously, like, you know, just understanding what our capacity as a team is. So we try to grow 20% every single time. So I think this one coming up October 4th and 5th is going to be probably like 150, you know, ish. And then, you know, hopefully 250.
Now with that being, you know, about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks away right now, you know, are you guys still talking to brands and accepting new booths and vendors?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's cannabis, you know.
It's going to all be last second.
It's all going to be last minute. And then, you know, we normally do an event in August. So just also, you know, things that we research. October is this, like, for some reason, all of the conferences are in Q4 for some reason. I don't know why. So we had some limitations on dates. So we are, this is it. We are where we're at. But yeah, we'll be taking probably exhibitors on until the last minute. So
The fun part about that is like I said, there's a different challenge every day, and it sounds to me like you guys have a very attentive team and that is really focused and dialed in on that. For you guys to be able to grow 20% and have that be your guys' mission, and then you think about again the constant growth that I've been seeing. It looks to me on our end that you're definitely hitting those goals and continuing to see things go in the right direction. And so big shout out to you guys for that. I've been, as I told you, I have FOMO squared for your guys' event. I'm frustrated I can't go, and I have the fear of missing out. You know what I mean? Like the people that are there, the brands, the potential for deals. Your guys' event is potentially the only one truly rivaling Hall of Flowers in their own individual market from a buyers and brands perspective. Now, talk to me a little bit more about the guests and the crowd of people that are there. When you guys talk about 150 brands and, people, who are the people that go to your guys' shows? You mentioned 200 license holders and things like that, but who else is in attendance?
So it's really cute. Like our event is kind of becoming like a debutante's ball. So, a lot of folks are releasing new SKUs or releasing new brands or even like first to market in New York. So
that's amazing.
Really it's like a little birthing center of new things. So that's been feeling really awesome. So our primary objective for our Buyers Club, which is the name of our trade show, is getting brands in front of retailers. That's the name of the game. Like get your leads, get POs. That's what the purpose of Buyers Club is. We limit our tables for ancillary to about 10 to 15% of the total exhibitors. Again, primary goal, trying to get those stores stocked. And then we also have a small number of tickets for industry people. So people that are, have been from other markets or, part of ancillary. What we're not trying to fill the room up with is the looky-loos, right? The folks that are like, I'm like, okay, well, you have your sales team. It's an expensive thing to bring them out. Do you want them talking to stores or do you want them talking to like, oh my goodness, I'm interested in cannabis. I know nothing. So that's what we created day 2. Day 2 is our consumer day. Day 2 is specifically for growing the addressable consumer market. Day 2 is for consumers to come and meet the brand, shake hands, learn about it, and that, celebrating also the bud tenders, the employees. So day 1 is pretty much executive buyers, owners,
amazing.
Sales.
The value of both days is different, and in my world, equally important because as a sales rep and as an owner of a brand, a sales rep for brands and an owner of my own brand, it's one problem. It's a whole set of problems in one area to just sell to the stores.
Yeah.
A whole different set of problems to sell out of the stores. And it's a whole nother set of problems to get people to buy it again and be a fan of your brand. And so I find that both days, although day 1 might seemingly be the most important day, I find that day 2, if done correctly, can actually deliver equal tangible results. It's all about how you track. Our experience comes from events and experiences and data and technology. When you think about the cost of customer acquisition, it will never, to quote the New York great Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price. So it will never be more affordable to acquire customers at this next Revelry event, this next Buyers Club event. It will never be more affordable to get customers. After that day.
Mic drop. Yeah, so that's totally true. We don't have vendor days. So we don't have like the ability for brands to come in.
Pop up in the stores like that.
Yeah, so we don't have that. So that was kind of our way of trying to fill that hole. So, we're doing a festival, carnival style. We're bringing our speaker series back. So we got, some sports people in, we've got some crossover people in. So we have, we have community people. We're doing community highlights. Like that's how we started. Is with
you guys are really touching on the 4 to 5 to 6 corners of the industry, right? I mean,
that's how our team is built.
Bud tenders, consumers.
Yeah. Well, that's how our team is built. So, my background is on the design side. Jacoby's a mathematician. Peter on our team is a neuroscientist. Saki has been doing activism and community work, and then Jason is a human rights lawyer who has literally he wrote the social equity part of our bill in New York. So like, I think that's the importance of building a team. You can't build a homogenized team, because then it's like you're just doing one thing and you're not looking at all of the other things. So
Absolutely.
Our team is, and this is another thing we can probably talk about. Like, I think we are probably the most diverse team out there in terms of age, religion, color, gender, sexual preference, but we're not out there. That's not what we lead with, right? Like, in none of our documents are you saying like we're what's owned or that owned. We're just being who we are.
It's inclusive of all the things for all the people.
Exactly. And we're not out there shouting it. We just want you to come in and just hang out. Like, that's the vibe, you know. We have also a very strict fuck yes list, fuck no list. I am very guarded about energy. Like, our team does a lot of manifestations. We just went to Mexico together and had hosted a retreat there to just like get our vibes aligned. We do a lot of energy work. Like, what's so important is creating a space where you feel welcome, that your guard is down, you know, to make New Yorkers happy. Like, that's not a small feat. So, you know, we also understand that it just takes one toxic thing to change the vibe, and it spreads. And when we have that many people, like, that energy has to be super on point. So
absolutely. There's nothing. There's definitely worse things out there, but this is one of those things that people get. The quickest complaint is bathroom problems, no ashtrays, and no water. Right?
Yeah. So water sponsor, plenty of bathrooms inside and outside, and ashtrays, buckets everywhere.
All the things, right? Trash cans. That's the four. That was the other one I was thinking. What's the other one? Trash cans. I'm always so frustrated when I can't throw things away super easily.
Yeah.
But it goes even beyond that. It goes to the people. It goes to the curation. It goes to making sure that you guys are really double, triple, quadruple checking. Again, every little experience across the board.
And partnerships. Like, that's what you guys are huge on, right? Partnerships and collaboration. So my buddies have an app called Ate It, which like features all the pop-ups and restaurateurs and, you know, drink hospitality sites. So they're helping us curate all of the food that we're going to have there.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So we also, you know, booked Joey Badass, Coda the Friend, Odalis.
Everybody in New York, when they hear my name, they change my nickname to Joey Badass. Everybody out there just starts calling me Joey Badass. It's so funny. I love it. Never anywhere in my life.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good time. So, you know, we're stoked. You know, shout out to Bead Maps. They're our title sponsor. They've been really instrumental in helping us grow.
Can we shout out some other sponsors real quick too? Who are you really excited? You know, who's been rocking with you the longest out there? Who's your longest sponsors, man?
I think Weed Maps has been super dope. Like, they've been rocking with us for a very long time. We have TrueCan, which is one of the processors. They're doing a really big activation with us. We have Veterans Choice. We have, oh my God, you're putting me on the spot. MFNY, Nabis.
Shout out the homies Nabis and shout out MFNY. MFNY, I did 13 dabs at one of their events back to back. It was crazy. That's how good they were. I've been taking dabs this whole time. Yeah. Those dabs were good. I just want to tip my hat to MFNY because I was able to sit there and dab out, and they were all of them really good.
Yeah, Natalia, Mike, team, like, they're one of my favorite groups to work with. You know,
great products and brands out there already, man. There's, you know, as I said earlier, you know, a couple of these brands are already in the top 10 in the country. Shout out Heirloom, and I'm the other one I don't remember because I wasn't expecting it. But New York, really impressive culture, community. Lulu, you guys have been doing great work. I discovered a lot and have learned a lot because of you guys, and I'm just watching from afar, having not yet been to the event, and so I'm very excited to go to one here soon. I encourage everybody watching to check out On The Revel and their Buyers Club events. It's very important that if you want to get involved with the New York community and the culture and the industry there, that you tap in, and this is a great place to do so. bud tenders. If any bud tenders are out there in New York watching, this is a great place for you guys to learn, go get connected. I hear there's samples, but that's an alleged thing. I'm not sure. And yeah, just as consumers, another great place for you guys to go discover brands and meet people and really get a better understanding of how these things are made. Lulu, before we get you on out of here, do you have anything that you want to share with the people that you feel that they should really know about your group and the events that you guys have coming up?
Ooh, I say if you want to come through and learn about New York and what's happening, I'm really proud to say like our events are probably the most impactful and showing you underneath the hood of what's actually happening in New York. So we welcome you. Bring good vibes. Don't be a dick. And be authentic. New York is, they can smell the bullshit from a mile away. So like, even if you're a dick, be an authentic dick, and you'll probably have a place with us as well.
What is your website and a good place for social media?
So revelryny.com, REVELRYNY.com, and On The Revel at Instagram and all of our socials.
Perfect. That's On The Revel, ONTHEREVEL on Instagram, you guys. Lulu Tsui here with your boy today on the second official episode of the New York Cannabis Podcast. We had to bring you guys on because you are a platform there, if not the platform. And so I wanted to say thank you for doing what you do. You inspire me to keep making moves and to keep supporting New York. I am not from there. I have no connection or history to New York outside of the fact that I love the people there and how passionate they are about fucking anything. Like whatever it is that they do, they're authentic, they're passionate, and they just choose to be themselves because it's New York. And I love that, man. So I appreciate you, Lulu, for being here with me today. Everybody, this was the second official episode. You guys should like, follow, subscribe, talk some shit about me, show love to Lulu. But either way, we'll be back for some more episodes soon. Today's episode is brought to you guys